The collapse of the USSR, also known as the Soviet Union, was a significant event in world history that had far-reaching political, economic, and social consequences. The reasons for the collapse of the Soviet Union are complex and multifaceted, but here are some of the main factors that contributed to its downfall. The Soviet economy was characterized by inefficiencies, shortages, and a lack of innovation. The central planning system was unable to keep up with the pace of technological progress and the demands of a modern economy. As a result, there were shortages of basic goods and services, declining productivity, and widespread dissatisfaction among the population. The economic problems were further compounded by a decline in oil prices, which was a major source of revenue for the Soviet Union. The Soviet government was known for its repression of political dissent and human rights abuses. The lack of political freedoms and the widespread use of secret police and censorship led to a general sense of frustration and resentment among the people. The Soviet government's handling of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986 also contributed to a loss of confidence in the government's ability to manage the country. The Soviet Union was composed of many different ethnic groups, some of which had a long history of tension with each other. As the Soviet government became more centralized, nationalism and calls for greater autonomy grew stronger, leading to increased tensions within the Union. In addition, the Soviet Union's involvement in Afghanistan in the 1980s and the resulting casualties and financial cost also fueled anti-Soviet sentiment. In the 1980s, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev introduced a series of reforms aimed at modernizing the Soviet economy and political system. These reforms, known as perestroika and glasnost, included greater political openness, a loosening of central control, and market-oriented economic policies. However, these reforms also led to greater political and economic instability, as well as a loss of confidence in the Soviet government. The Soviet Union faced significant external pressures, including the arms race with the United States, the war in Afghanistan, and economic sanctions imposed by Western countries. These pressures put a strain on the Soviet economy and contributed to the country's decline. The collapse of the Soviet Union was a complex and multifaceted process that involved a combination of economic, political, social, and external factors. It led to the breakup of the Soviet Union into 15 independent countries and marked the end of the Cold War era. The collapse of the Soviet Union also had significant economic and political consequences, including the rise of a new Russia and the emergence of new geopolitical realities in the world.